العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. من كتاب البداية الهداية أبو حميد الغزالي رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا بعلومه وبكم وسائر الصالحين في الدارين آمين. The beginning of guidance, chapter on sins committed with the limbs, page 92. As for the eye, it was created for you only, so that you might be guided by it in the darkness, so that you might be helped by it with respect to your needs, that by it you might see the wonders in the dominions of the heavens and the earth and consider the signs they contain. So protect your eye from four things. 1. From looking at marriageable person of the opposite gender. 2. From looking at a beautiful form in a lustful way. 3. From looking at a Muslim with an eye of disdain. And 4. From being on the lookout for another Muslim's faults. As for the ear, protect it from listening to reprehensible innovations, backbiting, lewd talk, delving into falsehood, or talking about the faults of others. For verily the ear was created for you only to listen to the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to the wisdom of the friends of Allah, so that by it you might gain access to the benefits of ilm, by which you may reach the eternal dominion and everlasting bounty. So if you use it to listen to something disliked, then what was in your favor will be against you, and what was meant to be a reason for your success will become a reason for your destruction. This is the ultimate loss. Also, do not think that the sin will be attributed only to the one who speaks it, and not to the one who listens. For verily it is in a narration, truly the listener shares in sin with the speaker, and he is one of the two backbiters. Iraqi from Tabrani.
نعم أحسن. بسم الله وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Al-Imam al-Ghazali, in this chapter now we speaking in the we're discussing the chapter that discusses the abstaining and refraining from sins, and he's speaking about the sins of the limbs. And he says that as for the eyes, Allah Ta'ala, when He created the eyes for you, He never created these eyes so that these eyes can be used to look at things that Allah is displeased with. When Allah created these eyes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created for you so it can be a means of guidance for you, and through that you are guided towards Him. And so it can aid you and assist you in fulfilling your needs and witnessing the marvelous of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, seeing the marvel of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation in His universe, taking a lesson from it and taking heed of it, and by protecting it and preserving it from that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want you to look at. There's so much you are able to look at that you can admire through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, and through that increasing your iman and increasing your ma'rifah, your knowing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But instead, the person, he chooses to overlook all of that and to use his eyes for the very purpose it was not created for. For the very purpose it was not created for. So your limbs are basically, they say it's like they say in contemporary terms, it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. You can use it, and it can be a means of you entering Jannah, and you can use it, and it can be a means of your punishment in the means of the person's punishment in the fire of Jahannam. Allahumma ajirna min al-nar wa adkhilna al-jannata ma'al abrar. Therefore, in the comes in narration, the Prophet ﷺ said, Man ibtuliya or man ibtalaytuhu bifaqdi habibatayhi lam ajid lahu thawaban illa al-jannah. The one who I've tested by taking away his two beloveds. What is his two beloveds? Eyes. If I've tasted him by taking away his two beloveds, meaning his two eyes, I've taken away his eyesight, I find for him no reward except Jannah. When they speak about this, they say, does that mean that any blind person enters Jannah? No, not any. But they mean على العموم in general, a person that cannot see, he has so much less sins than the person who can see, that most likely a person that cannot see, he will probably enter Jannah if he's a believer. And he obviously fulfills the commands of Allah and he does what he needs to do. That is a given. So a person who fulfills Allah's commands, by virtue of his eyes, he can't see with his eyes, Allah Ta'ala rewards him already for the loss of his eyesight. And Allah Ta'ala, and he doesn't get the sin of a person who's looking at haram. So, khair ala khair, nur ala nur, type of nur ala nur. So there's no nur, but mashallah, Allah Ta'ala gives him the nur. and Allah Ta'ala takes Allah may have taken his eyes away, but Allah Ta'ala places it with hikmah in his heart. Allah takes his eyesight away, and Allah Ta'ala replaces him with hikmah and inner sight. Like Uncle Shaykh was saying, like Imam al-Haddad, he lost his eyesight at a young age, and Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala replaces his eyesight with inner sight. And between the eyesight and the inner sight, oh mashallah, inner sight is much more better, much more valuable, much more greater. Inner sight, eyesight versus inner sight. Inner sight. If the person must know the value of the inner sight, then he say, Allah, take my eyesight or give me inner sight. If he was given a choice between the two, if he was given a choice between the two, knowing the value of inner sight, he say, Allah, take my eyesight away, give me inner sight. But because we don't know the value of inner sight, everyone calls for eyesight, and no one wants inner sight. Right? They want outer sight, and therefore they are out of sight. He says, فَاحْفَظْهَا عَنْ ثَلَاثٍ أَوْ أَرْبَعٍ. Preserve it from 3 or 4 things. أَنْ تَنْظُرَ بِهَا إِلَى غَيْرِ مُحَرَّمٍ. Preserve it by looking at things that is not haram. What is this? What's haram? To look at, such as nisa, strange women. Looking at strange women. What part of a lady can I look at that is not haram? Strange. What part of a strange lady can I look at that is not haram? What part? No part. No part. Her face, not even her face. Her nails, not even her nails. Her toenail, not even her toenail. I can't. A strange woman, her entire body is awrah. Her entire body is awrah. Min nahiyat, me looking at her. In terms of covering, yes, Imam Shafi'i says al-wajhu wal-kaffayn, the face and the hands. In another narration, the hands only, and the face is even part of the awrah, which needs to be covered, according to the views in the madhab. But let's say we go with the view al-wajh. This is al-wajh wal-kaffayn, face and hands. It doesn't mean I cannot look at the lady's hands with desire, or I can look at the face with desire. Otherwise, what's the purpose of lowering the gaze? And then if I'm allowed to look at the face of a strange lady, then why does Allah Ta'ala then say that the first look, Allah don't hold me accountable, but the second one I get a sin for? Haram. I can't look at a female intentionally with desire, or with no desire in for that matter. But I can't look at a female. I need to lower my gaze. And the Imam al-Ghazali, after speaking about تنظر بها إلى غير محرم, and therefore another thing is that there's a narration that says a person who looks and he stares at a lady from behind, and he sees her clothing and he can see the shape of her body. And the shape of her physique, like her makeup, right? And he stares at her. Try to figure out. لم يرح رائحة الجنة. He will not smell the fragrance of Jannah. That is a lady that is covered. Not the lady is uncovered, the lady is covered. Shaykh Maskina, she's covered. But the person stays and looks at her size of her body and he looks now, oh, sy is so, sy's lang, sy's kort, sy's dik, sy's dun, sy's... Lam yarih raihat al-Jannah. He won't smell the fragrance of Jannah. The Prophet ﷺ also said, Man an-nadhra, gaze, is a poisonous arrow of shaitan, of Iblis. It's a poisonous arrow. The one who leaves looking, man tarakaha, out of fear for Allah, the one who leaves looking at things that he should not look at, out of fear for Allah, Allah will replace for him with that enjoyment that he would find in looking, enjoyment in his heart when practicing his iman. Halawat al-iman, the enjoyment of iman, the sweetness of iman. Allah will replace it. So it is as if Allah is, the Messenger of Allah is saying that the one who doesn't lower his gaze and he looks, he will not find the sweetness of iman. He'll have iman, but he will not find the sweetness of iman. The sweetness of iman will be found when the person lowers his gaze. Sheikh Ibrahim, can also you say, today we look at the ladies the way people looking at a tennis match. Yeah. Subhanallah. Ya Rabbi ihfadna, Ya Rabbi, Ya Rabbi ihfadna. Oh Allah, protect our eyes, Ya Rabbi al-Alameen. And it says the other thing, أو إلى صورة مليحة ولا بشهوة نفس. Oh, you're looking at a beautiful image of a person, even if there's no desire. However, the desire, a man looking at another man, it looks, mashallah, the man is so, mashallah, this man is handsome now, mashallah. As a man looking at a man, see, mashallah, this man is handsome, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing, it's innocent. A person, because الرجل لا يشتهي الرجل عادة, a man doesn't desire another man عادة, normally. صاحب الطبع السليم, a person who has a normal inclination, a pure inclination, he doesn't desire a man. A man doesn't desire a man. In the same way, a female doesn't desire a female. So females can look at females, even if it is with desire. And a man can look at a man, even with desire. It's not haram. But we cannot look at a man with desire is, we say, shab amrad. If it is a youngster that is a young boy that is beautiful, that didn't grow beard yet, mahal amrad, a young boy, prachtige boy, miskien mukallaf al of so on, but he don't have any beard, lekker, hy lyk baie na aan 'n vrou. Shab al-amrad. Therefore, it comes some narrations. Ashab al-amrad, a youngster that is amrad, that doesn't have beard, that's beautiful, that's handsome, so to say. It is ashaddu min alf shaitan, than 1,000 shaitans, because people generally don't think that fitna can come from there. Here's one narration. There's one scholar, he was giving a talk. And as he was giving a lecture, and then a shab, فَدَخَلَ شَاب أَمْرَد, a youngster that was, mashallah, nice, handsome, and he entered, and he didn't grow any beard yet, he's skoon, he entered and he sat there. So the Sheikh told him, stand up and sit here behind my back. He told him, stand up and sit here behind my back. I said, so the Sheikh put him behind his back, in order not to, that shaitan does not create a fitna in that instance. No. And therefore the person, al-shab al-amrad, is one that a person should be cautious of and be wary of. And subhanallah, you see today how many people, sometimes people that are attributed to deen and religion, they fall into that trap. A young boy, teaching him Quran, I'm his Khalifa, or I'm his Sheikh, and then later on you hear the child was sexually assaulted or he was molested. And it happens. It happens, right? Why? Because you didn't follow the Sunnah of Rasulullah. Now there's, hey, you sick mind, man, how can you think of this? Are you saying Rasulullah is sick in his mind? Astaghfirullah. You're saying Rasulullah is sick. Rasulullah was the one who put preventative measures in place. And because you didn't want to follow the sunnah and you call people sick mind, see what you fell into, what trap you fell into. Right? There's nothing better than following the sunnah of Zaynul Wujud, the master of existence, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Oh, to look at another person, بعين الاحتقار. To look at another person with the eye of what? What does he translate as? احتقار. Disdain.
In other words, it doesn't have to be an animate thing. That can be a picture, it can be.
It doesn't matter. Even not alive. Doesn't it? Anything that stirs desire. Anything that stirs desire. That's why we know images. A picture of a beautiful, never mind beautiful, any lady. Sy kan sommer 120, 30 jaar oud wees. If her aura is not covered, it's haram. If I look at the picture, or I look at the video, what about animation? What about animation? This animation is not really, it's not a person. So now they look at animation that is, for example, that is haram animation. Cartoons that is maybe haram. If you get those type of cartoons. So you say, now a person he watches a photo or he watches a video of an animation, but it's haram that takes place between the animations. They say it's haram to look at it simply because even though it's not a human being, it's not actual real people, it's not it is something that is animated, is an image, or it's a cartoon by way of example, but because it stirs the desire. Anything that stirs desire in a haram way, it is haram. Anything that can lead to zina is haram. And because it stirs the desire, it's haram. A lady, when Allah Ta'ala told the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Nisa an-Nabi, oh wives of the Prophets, to inform your wives that فَلَا تَخْضَعْنَ بِالْقَوْلِ, when you speak, don't speak so in a soft tone. Don't speak so in a soft tone when you speak to men. فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرْضٌ. Is there something wrong? This is a wife of Rasulullah. How many times he said it to Aisha, his companions come to her and say, Ya Aisha, what was the state of Rasulullah? What did Rasulullah do in this condition? How was the akhlaq of Rasulullah? Tell us about Rasulullah. All the time they used to come to her. Sayyidatuna Aisha was one of the references and the authorities in the Prophet ﷺ's private life. When it came to his private life, the one who knew the most of him was Sayyidatuna Aisha from all his wives. And so she was regarded as min al-mukthirat wal-mukthirin, those who narrated abundant narrations from the Prophet ﷺ, simply because she experienced and witnessed things from Rasulullah that others did not. When he went in his home, how was he? Who could explain that besides his wives? So they would come and they would ask the wives of Rasulullah and they would speak back. But Allah Ta'ala told them, when you do answer, even though you're speaking deen, don't speak in a very soft tone and almost like a appealing tone. Why? فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٌ. The one who has a diseased heart will have tama', will have greed, or will develop some kind of inclination. Not that the speaking there was wrong, the speaking was deen, but simply because what that will lead to. So don't soften your voice. Don't. Hey? Not the seductive. The Rasulullah's wives wouldn't seduce, they wouldn't use a seductive voice. But don't make don't soften and sweeten your speak praat soos 'n man. Alright. And mashallah, today you find it happens. Ladies, mashallah, in the house, the voice is very different to the voice in the office. Assalamu alaikum, how are you? You've reached the offices of so and so and so. In the house, hey, wat jy jou? Jy kan mos jou eie klere verstrik. Wat fout met jou hande? Tell your eie. But in the office, if the husband was to call, he wouldn't even know his wife. No one knows his wife. Hey, you've reached the offices of so and so and so. How can I help you? لا, haram. And therefore, so looking at anything with desire, and therefore they say another baridu zina. Another looking is almost like the passage to zina. Looking is almost like the passage to zina. Gazing is the passage to zina. So it starts by looking, and then eventually leads to zina. May Allah Ta'ala protect us and protect our eyes and protect all our limbs. Ameen. Another one is looking at another Muslim with an eye of disdain, or to look at the aib, the defects, the imperfections, the faults of another Muslim. Allah says, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Inform the believers that they should lower their gaze. He says, كُلُّ الْحَوَادِثِ مَبْدَأُهَا النَّظَرِ. All wrong, it started off with looking. وَمُعْظَمُ النَّارِ مِنْ مُسْتَصْغِرِ الشَّرِّ. And most of the people of the fire is on account of the person who undermined one spark. Shar is like a spark of the fire. Yeah, it's very small. Small things became a big thing. He says, كم نظرة فعلت في قلب صاحبها فعل السهام بلا قوس ولا وتر. How many gazes, the consequence of it was more harmful than the consequence of an arrow. He says that the consequence of the gaze was the consequence of an arrow, except that there was no bow and there was no bow and there was no cord. Was the arrow? Because the gaze is like an arrow, but it's an arrow without a bow. An arrow without a bow. And not to that you don't preoccupy yourself with other people's faults and other people's defects. Focus on your own faults. Focus on your own imperfections. المرء إن كان عاقلا ورعا أشغله عن عيوبهم ورعه. A believer, if he is wise, he will preoccupy himself with his faults than other people's faults. كما العليل السقيم أشغله عن وجع الناس كلهم وجعه. It is like a person who is sick. He is preoccupied with his pain and he's not worried about other people's pain. You see a person who is sick, he's going through pains, struggling. Is he worried about what other people is going through? Is he pain? He's done pain. Yeah, he's done pain. He's not worried about who got the tongue pain, who got the mouth pain. He's going through his own pain, so he's focused on his pains. كذلك. Focus on your own faults. حفظ الأذن. As for the ears, he says, be cautious, protect your eyes, your ears, preserve your ears from listening to bid'ah. كالغناء, singing, وآلة الله, and those instruments, والطنبور, and those drums. Tambur is a certain drum. Tambur in the Shafi'i madhab it shouldn't be used. It is the one that is, they call it another name for tambur. They call it in contemporary days darbukka. Tambur darbukka. It is the one that is long and it comes narrow in the middle. So it's wide, narrow, and then it goes wide again. Wal-oud, wal-mizmar, and the flute. There is ikhtilaf according to this in our madhab in Imam Ghazali, with the difference with Imam Ghazali. However, the ghina that is referred to here is ghina that stirs the emotions and stirs the shahwa. Ghina in itself is not haram. It is what is being said and how it's being said. What is being said and how it's being said. A person who sings, and he sings good words, that's good. A person who sings words that encourages, enjoins good character, piety, righteousness, good morals, good codes of conduct, good. Tell me, Jamaat al-Muslimin, which songs today has those types of meanings? And everything is just, in fact, there's hardly meanings to it. And if you hear some of the wording, subhanAllah, it is as if the person is describing you in a scene of zina in front of you now. Like a person is describing a zina scene in front of you. When you hear the wording of that, and the person is the whole time, whatever he's saying now. And we listen to this. So he says, be careful of listening to those type of things. And be careful of ghibah. وَالْغِيبَ ذِكْرُكَ أَخَاكَ بِمَا يَكْرَهُ. And ghibah is to speak about your brother or your sister, about that which they dislike, whether it is in front of him or behind his back, whether it is in front of him or behind his. And it doesn't matter whether you are willing to tell that person the thing in his face or not. I say this all the time. It doesn't matter whether you are willing to tell him that in his face or not. That is not the criteria. The criteria is, will he feel offended? Will he feel hurt? Yes. Does he dislike it? Khalas. If you're saying it in front of him or behind him, it's still ghibah. Still ghibah. A person says, dis is ghibah nie because ek sal dit in sy gesig sê. Still ghibah. Will he agree with you? Will he be happy with what you said? If he's not happy, it's ghibah. Or al-fuhsh. Al-fuhsh is, what is it translated? What is fuhsh there? Lewdness. Lewdness. Lewdity. Lewdness. Like, that is fuhsh, like, hey? Obscene. Obscenity. You know, obscenity. We speak stuff that is not, speak of the awras, and a husband maybe speak about how he has intimacy with his wife. Or the lady speaks on how she has intimacy with her husband. Oh, ek het so gedoen, ek het hy gedoen, ek het so gedoen, ek het hier gedoen. That is fuhsh. That is not appropriate. It's not appropriate for a person to speak these types of things. Details of their relationship and what they did. It's a sin in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Person goes on honeymoon, or he goes on his anniversary, now he comes back. Now the ladies now want to know, hoe was het? Wat het hy gedoen? Wat het jou man gedoen? Wat is jou besigheid? Wat het my man gedoen? It's my man. Whatever we did is behind closed doors. Or the friends say, how was it? How was your anniversary? Is it my anniversary or your anniversary? Is it my honeymoon or your honeymoon? Put yourself out with your own business, man. Worry about what happens. And this is, subhanAllah, how Rasulullah protected a home. Today there's no limitations as to what people speak about, and they do everything just to entertain a crowd. Everything, even if they was to speak about the details of what happens in other bedrooms. The details of what happens in their bedrooms. They speak about it, and they laugh about it. And the strange thing is, they put it on the status. Wow, last night was so and so and this, and we did this, and astaghfirullah. You committing, it's like a person committing zina. Committing zina because you're exposing you, whatever you did, you're exposing you to the public now. Subhanallah. May Allah protect our ummah, ya Rabb. And that's why it's important, again, coming back to how we should protect our homes. And our women should always be within their homes. They should be protected. Don't expose your women within your homes to strange men. When someone comes to visit you, if it's a family member, no bas. But if it's a strange person, he's visiting you. He's not visiting your family. He's not visiting your family. Now he comes, visits you, and the wife sits there, and the man sits there. and now he's speaking to my wife, and I'm speaking to his wife, and it's a whole speaking over. He's not speaking to me, I'm not speaking to him. It's more the wife speaking to the husband, to the other one's husband, and the other one's husband speaking to my. Did you come visit me, or did you come visit my wife? And so those things you see very often. Say, no, we're friends, we all friends. No, it's not. That is where the fitna starts. That's where shaitan starts. And later on you see the person accuses his wife. He says, yeah. Later on you see the person, he accuses his wife of being, of infidelity. With who? With his friend. But yeah, you didn't allow it. You allowed the man to come in the house. You allowed the man to come sit here and to have conversations with your wife. The day when you ill-treated your wife, so she called him. We friends. I said, speak to your friend. He's ill-treating me. He's not fulfilling his haq towards me. I said, Shay man, wat doen hy? Nee, oh nee, man, jy moet nie so doen. Okay, jy moet nie worry nie. I'll take you out for coffee. We can speak more about it. Miskien, shaitan. See how it starts. This thing is, close the door for shaitan. Close the door and don't allow your wives to be seen by strange men. Oh, women, don't desire to be seen by strange men. The desire of a man is to see, and the desire of a woman is to be seen. And therefore the man must lower his desire, must break his desire of looking, and the lady must break her desire of being looked at. The desire of a man is to look. Desire of a lady is to be looked at. Sy wil gesien wees. Kan mooi make-up. In the house, samosa klere, right? Broken clothes. Outside, mashallah. Make her beautiful like she's never made her beautiful in the house before. She wants to be seen. That is her battle is to fight her nafs not to be seen. And the man's battle is to fight his nafs not to see or not to look. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our households and protect us from shaitan and the trickery and the traps of shaitan. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. And if you need to look at the salihin. Look at the awliya of Allah. Look at the friends of Allah. That is something that beautifies your eyes. If you want to listen to the kalam of Allah. Listen to the kalam of Rasulullah. Listen to the praises of the salihin, of how they praise Allah and His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And don't fool yourself by saying, oh no, ik luister net. No. He says, al-mustami' sharikul mughtab. The one who's listening is the accomplice and the partner of the one who's backbiting. They are partners. The fact that you're entertaining him, if you don't listen to him, who's he going to speak to? Come to the person and say, let's do khadun. And he comes to them, hey. I don't listen to, I don't have time to listen to people's stories. Assalamu alaikum. Who's he going to speak to? To himself. Because you assisted him. You allowed him to speak. You were there and he was able to speak to you. He was able to continue with the sin. So how silly the person, he ignites it. I said, wat nog? I said, het is ook, nee, ik kan me zo zien nie, man. Ja, dat is mos hier geen. Dan stook hy die conversation. Accomplice, same. No difference between the two. No difference between the two. Al-Imam al-Bukhari, he says, Inni la-arju. I hope, أني أخذني الله, that Allah Ta'ala must take me from this dunya. وَمَا يُطَالِبُنِي بِغِيبَةِ مُسْلِمٍ قَطْ. Allah will hold me accountable for once speaking about another Muslim behind his back. Not once. Ya Rabb. طهر الله ألسنتنا. Oh Allah, purify our tongues, purify our eyes, purify our ears, purify our limbs, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. That it does not commit anything that is displeasing to you, and that anything that brings about your dissatisfaction and your anger upon us, Ya Rabb al-Alameen. Oh Allah, allow our limbs to only do that which is pleasing to you, and pleasing to your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, purified from all obscenity, all lewdness, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, all sin, all transgression, even anything that is makruh, Ya Allah. Purify our limbs and our organs from it. Ameen Ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sirri al-Fatiha ila hadratin Nabi.